Almost every American driver has a can of WD-40 sitting at home, tossed in some drawer or buried in the trunk, and they have no idea what they're missing out on. 90% of folks only use that stuff to loosen a rusty bolt, and that's exactly what mechanics are hoping you keep believing. Because if you knew what this stuff could actually do, you'd never go back to the shop and pay big bucks for jobs you could handle yourself in 2 minutes, in your own garage, in shorts and flip-flops. I've personally blown hundreds of dollars on shop diagnostics, thinking I had some serious problem, when the fix was right there, in a dusty little orange can. And today, I'm going to show you 18 WD-40 tricks that mechanics definitely don't want you to know about. Stick around till the end. Cleaning the gas cap. You know that little gas cap you open up every week at the pump, and never once in your life thought about cleaning? Yeah, that one. It builds up grime, dried out rubber, and fuel residue in the threads in the seal, and that can quietly trigger that famous check engine light on your dash. That little orange light that pops up out of nowhere and sends you straight to the shop with your heart in your throat. Here's the fix, and it's simple. Spray WD-40 generously on the threads of the cap, on the underside, and on the rubber seal. Let it sit for a minute so the formula can break down all that built-up gunk. Then just wipe it clean with a microfiber cloth. Before you screw it back on, hit it with one more light coat, and you're good to go. The cap will turn smooth, seal up tight, and stay clean for months. Do this every couple months as part of your basic maintenance, and your odds of seeing that check engine light pop on from a fuel vapor leak drop big time. Most people end up spending a small fortune on scanner diagnostics, paying shop labor rates, going without their car for days, and the fix was sitting right there in the garage, in a product that costs less than 30 bucks. It's the kind of thing that takes 2 minutes and can save your morning, your wallet, and your sanity. Water spots on your side mirrors. You know those chalky white spots that stick to your side mirrors like they got baked right into the glass? That's mineral buildup from rain and tap water sticking to the surface, creating a haze that distorts your reflection and makes the mirror look permanently dirty. And here's the kicker. No dry rag on earth fixes that. Here's what actually works. Spray a little WD-40 straight onto the mirror glass and let it sit for about 30 seconds. Then wipe it down with a clean microfiber cloth, using gentle circular motions. You'll watch those mineral deposits lift right off, leaving the glass crystal clear, no streaks, and it'll even hold up better against sun glare. The formula breaks the bond between the minerals and the glass without messing up the coating, and it leaves behind a thin layer that makes water bead right off. Rain hits the mirror and slides away, instead of sticking around and forming that haze all over again. Do this after every car wash, and your mirrors will stay clean way longer than you'd expect. A foggy mirror isn't just ugly. It's a real hazard. Not seeing a car in your blind spot before you change lanes can cost you a lot more than any cleaning product ever would. Pro detailers use this trick before they hand a car back to a customer after a full detail job. And now you can do the exact same thing at home, for free. Cleaning leather and vinyl seats. Grime builds up on your leather seats over time, and that surface that used to look great starts looking dull, dried out, and worn. Most folks rush out to buy some expensive conditioner, or worse, use a harsh cleaner that ends up wrecking the finish even faster. What the pros use is different. Spray a little WD-40 onto a clean microfiber cloth, never straight onto the seat itself, and wipe along the natural grain of the material. The formula lifts out embedded dirt, breaks down surface oils, and softens the leather without soaking it. You'll see the grime transferring right onto the cloth almost instantly. Then just go over it with a dry cloth, and the seat will look darker, cleaner, and noticeably softer. While you're at it, hit the door trim and the center console too, because those surfaces build up the same oils and respond just as well to the product. Cracked leather is nearly impossible to fix once it gets to a certain point, so keeping it soft now saves you from a reupholstering job down the road that could cost you a small fortune. One pass, and your seats look years younger, without spending a dime on professional detailing. Cleaning and restoring your tires. Your tires have got that dull brown film on them that won't come off with water, soap, or even prayer. Brake dust, road tar, and rubber oxidation build up on the sidewall over time, leaving everything looking neglected, even when the rest of the car is spotless. Here's what you do. Spray WD-40 straight onto the sidewall and work it in with an old rag or a detailing brush. The formula cuts through the oxidation and tar in seconds, lifting that brown layer and revealing the deep black rubber that was hiding underneath the whole time. Wipe off the excess with a cloth, and the difference shows up right away. The tires look darker, cleaner, and freshly detailed. It also leaves behind a protective barrier that slows down the browning process, so your tires stay black longer between washes. One quick pass before you head out for the weekend, a road trip, or any important plans, and the whole car looks like it just rolled off the dealer lot this morning. People really underestimate how much a clean, black set of tires changes the whole presence of a car on the road. The car can be a basic model, but with well-kept tires, it looks like it's worth a lot more. Now let's talk about a visibility problem you can fix with WD-40, and this one's gonna really surprise you. Cleaning a foggy windshield. Your windshield's got that oily, smoky haze on it that makes every headlight coming at you from the opposite lane explode into a blinding glare. And that's not just annoying at night. It's a real safety hazard. That film is a mix of road soot, silicone vapors released by your dashboard, and residue that water alone never fully gets rid of. The fix is simple. Spray a light coat of WD-40 onto the windshield and spread it evenly with a microfiber cloth. Let it sit for about 30 seconds. Then wipe it all off with a clean, dry cloth. What comes off the glass is gonna surprise you. A brown, oily gunk that's been building up for months without you even noticing. What's left behind is clean, smooth, and water repellent, which makes rain slide right off instead of spreading out and fogging up your view. While you're at it, hit your wiper blades with the product too, because they pick up that same kind of residue and end up smearing dirt around instead of actually cleaning. Next time it rains hard, your visibility is going to feel like a whole different car. Most drivers only wash the outside of the windshield and never think about treating the surface properly. Mechanics and detailers have known this trick for years. Now you do too. Cleaning and restoring your exhaust tips. Your exhaust tips are black, scorched, and ruining the back end of a car that could actually look great. That baked-on soot cooks into the metal from the engine's extreme heat, and regular soap doesn't even come close to fixing it. You can scrub, you can wash it with detergent, you can pray, and it stays exactly the same. Here's the trick. Grab the WD-40, spray it generously inside and outside the tip, and let the formula soak into that layer of carbon for a minute or two. Then work it with a microfiber cloth or a soft detailing brush. The grime starts lifting off almost right away. Dark residue coming off the metal in long wipes. Dry it off well with a cloth, and the tip underneath all that buildup is going to shine like it just came off the factory line today. WD-40 also leaves behind a protective layer that makes removing carbon a lot easier next time around. If your car's got dual exhaust, do both sides at the same time so the finish matches up and looks intentional, instead of half done. A chrome exhaust tip shining behind a clean bumper is one of those small details that makes people take a second look at your car. It's the difference between a tired-looking rear end and something actually worth showing off. Restoring your rubber floor mats. Your rubber floor mats are cracked, faded, and look permanently dirty, even right after a wash. Mud, road salt, and thick grime have worked their way so deep into the surface that a simple rinse barely makes a dent. Here's what you should do. After hosing down the mats, spray a light coat of WD-40 across the whole surface and spread it around with a cloth. The formula soaks into the rubber, restores its flexibility, and pushes out the deep grime that water alone can't reach. Wipe off the excess with a cloth and let it dry. When you put them back in the car, they'll look darker, refreshed, and black again, just like when the car was new. The protective layer left behind also repels future moisture and makes your next cleaning a whole lot easier. It works just as well on trunk liners and cargo mats too, so don't stop at the floor mats. A clean, well-kept floor mat is one of those interior details that quietly tells everyone who steps into your car how much you actually care about it. Small detail, huge difference. Restoring your taillights. Your taillights are foggy, yellowed, and aging the look of the whole car. And it's not just a cosmetic issue. That haze scatters the light and seriously cuts down your visibility for drivers coming up behind you. In heavy traffic, being hard to see from behind is just asking to get rear-ended. Here's the quick fix. Spray WD-40 straight onto the taillight lens and work it in with smooth, circular motions using a clean microfiber cloth. Almost instantly, the haze starts to disappear, and the lens gets clearer, brighter, and looks brand new. The formula fills in the tiny surface scratches, restores light transmission, and leaves behind a protective layer that slows down future yellowing. Keep a can of WD-40 in your trunk and give the taillights a quick wipe down every couple months, before that yellowing comes back strong. Preventive maintenance always beats playing catch-up later. Mechanics use this trick quietly before handing the car back to a customer, and the owner always thinks they got a brand new taillight. Cleaning dusty interior surfaces. Your dashboard and door panels have got that thick gray film on them that regular cloths never fully get rid of. You wipe it down, get rid of some, and 2 days later it's right back. Here's the clean solution. Spray a little WD-40 onto a microfiber cloth, never directly onto the surface, and wipe down the dashboard, door panels, center console, and plastic trim. The formula grabs and lifts the dust instead of just pushing it around, and leaves behind a conditioning layer that makes plastic and vinyl resist future buildup. The interior won't just look cleaner. It'll stay cleaner a lot longer between cleanings. Pay extra attention to the AC vents, because the compacted dust sitting in those grills is exactly what gets blown around the cabin every single time you turn on the air. And if you live somewhere hot, you're running that AC pretty much year-round, so this matters a whole lot more than people realize. A clean interior isn't just about looks. It's the air you're breathing inside the car on every drive, the commute to work, dropping the kids off at school, every everyday errand. Detailers use this as the final step on every job, and now you know exactly why a car looks so spotless when you pick it up after a detail. The 5 minutes you spend on this today saves you from breathing in months of built-up dust every time you crank the AC. Protecting your car's paint. Your car's paint is under constant attack, every single day, no breaks. Bird droppings, tree sap, road tar, and squashed bugs land on the hood daily, and every one of those things can eat into the clear coat if it sits baking in the sun too long. And in the heat of summer, the sun doesn't go easy on anybody. Here's what you do. After washing and drying the car, spray a light mist of WD-40 onto one panel at a time and spread it with a clean microfiber cloth. The surface gets that deep, wet-looking shine, and the protective film left behind makes grime slide right off instead of sticking. It's not a long-term replacement for wax or a ceramic coating, but as a quick protective layer between detail jobs, it's one of the most underrated moves in any detailer's toolkit. Focus especially on the hood and front bumper, since those panels take the most direct hit from road debris and bugs at highway speed. A single long road trip is enough to coat the front of your car in bug acid and tar that start dulling the clear coat within just a few days, if there's nothing protecting it. A single panel repaint at a decent body shop can run anywhere from $300 to over $1,000. A can of WD-40 is what stands between your paint job and that bill. Think about that. Lubricating a sticky seatbelt. Your seatbelt is sticking halfway out, retracting unevenly, or fighting you every time you try to pull it. A seatbelt that doesn't retract properly can fail to hold tension in a crash, and that's not something you want to ignore or put off. Here's the fix. Pull the belt out to full extension and spray a light, even mist of WD-40 along the entire length of the strap. Work the product in gently with a clean cloth running along the belt. Then let it retract slowly a few times. The formula breaks loose the built-up grime, lubricates the internal spring mechanism, and restores that smooth, consistent pull and retract motion that tells you the belt's working the way it should. While you're at it, do the same for every seatbelt in the car, because if the driver's side is sticking, the passenger belts usually aren't far behind. A belt that retracts smooth every time is one of those things you never notice, until the day it stops working right. And then you've been annoyed for weeks over nothing. It's one of those maintenance steps mechanics quietly check and never mention on the service ticket. Replacing a seatbelt at the dealership can run you anywhere from $200 to $500, so keeping yours working with a product that costs a fraction of that is one of the smartest calls you'll make all year. Fixing a key that's stuck in the ignition. You stick the key in the ignition, and instead of turning smooth and easy, you feel resistance, a weird grinding, or the key barely fits in the slot. Most people immediately start picturing the worst: an ignition cylinder replacement, a big fat bill at the shop, days without a car. 9 times out of 10, the problem is just dust and dried out lubricant inside the lock mechanism. Here's what to do before you call any mechanic. With the key out, give the ignition slot a short, controlled blast of WD-40 straight into the opening. Insert the key and slowly turn it back and forth a few times to work the product into the mechanism. What felt like a stuck cylinder will start turning smooth with every pass. The formula dissolves the built-up grime, re-lubricates the internal pins, and restores that clean, easy turn you expect when you twist the key. If you've got a spare key sitting around unused, treat the cylinder with the same spray, because a lock that sits unused too long tends to seize up at the exact moment you need it most. Replacing an ignition cylinder at a shop can cost anywhere from $150 to $400. And most of the time, the problem's just a dried-out lock that a can of WD-40 fixes in 60 seconds flat. That's literally the first move any locksmith would make. Now you can skip straight to the fix without paying anybody to do it for you. Do this twice a year as routine maintenance, and you might never have an ignition problem worth worrying about again. Getting rid of a squealing belt. Your belt is screeching every time you start the car, and every neighbor on the street turns their head to look. That squeal happens when dust, moisture, and surface wear cause the belt to slip on the pulleys instead of gripping properly. Before you rush out to replace the belt, grab the WD-40. With the engine off, spray a light, controlled mist onto the inner surface of the belt and onto each pulley. Start the car, and the squeal disappears almost instantly. The WD-40 breaks down the surface wear and residue that were causing the slipping, and lets the belt find its proper grip again. It's not a permanent fix if the belt's actually worn out, but it's the fastest way to find out whether you need a new belt or just a clean one, and it can save you an unnecessary trip to the shop. While you've got your head under the hood, take a look at the belt and check for cracks or fraying. Because if the rubber's visibly breaking down, no amount of WD-40 substitutes for an actual replacement. A new belt at a shop can run you anywhere from $100 to $250 just in labor. So knowing whether that squeal is dirt or wear before you ever walk through the shop door puts you in a much stronger position when it's time to negotiate. Mechanics know this trick. They just don't tell you about it. Walking into a shop already knowing the difference between a dirty belt and a worn-out belt is exactly the kind of knowledge that stops a service writer from talking you into repairs you flat out don't need. Freeing up stuck window channels. Your window grinds, squeaks, or hesitates every time you roll it down. And it gets worse in cold weather or after a few days of rain. The rubber-lined channels the glass slides through build up dust, road grime, and moisture until the window's basically dragging like it's stuck in mud. Here's the fix. Roll the window down halfway and spray WD-40 directly onto the exposed channel on both sides. Roll the window up and down slowly a few times to work the product all the way through the channel. What was grinding and sticking will start gliding with almost no noise at all. The lubricant breaks up the compacted debris and keeps the rubber flexible in any weather. Don't forget the rear windows, because those channels get neglected even longer and are usually in way worse shape than the front ones. A window that moves smooth and seals right also keeps wind noise, turbulence, and water leaks out of the cabin during road trips or heavy rain. In winter, a frozen channel can crack the glass if you force it. A quick spray keeps everything running smooth all year long. Replacing a window regulator, that's the mechanism that moves the glass, can cost between $150 and $300 at a shop. And keeping the channels lubricated is the easiest, cheapest way to make sure you never need that repair in the first place. Freeing up a stuck side mirror. Your power side mirror stopped adjusting. The motor strains every time you hit the button, and now you're driving around with a blind spot every time you change lanes. The problem almost never is the motor itself. It's the joints, gummed up with road grime and corroded from moisture, sitting trapped inside the housing. Here's what you do. Carefully spray WD-40 into the joint and around the adjustment housing, and let it sit for a minute to soak into the buildup. Then try the adjustment controls again. You'll feel the mirror loosen up almost instantly, moving smoothly through its full range. For manual mirrors, the same spray restores easy movement and keeps the joint from seizing up after rain or cold weather. A quick preventive spray on both mirrors before winter hits takes less than 2 minutes, and it can save you from waking up on a freezing morning to a mirror stuck at the wrong angle that won't budge. Driving with a mirror stuck at the wrong angle isn't just annoying. It's a real blind spot that puts you and everyone around you at risk on every lane change, every maneuver, every pass. Replacing a power mirror motor can cost between $100 and $250 in parts and labor. And the real kicker is that most of the time, the motor was never actually the problem. It was just grime. This next trick is really going to catch you off guard. Freeing up a stuck parking brake cable. You release the parking brake, and the car won't budge. The cable's frozen up or corroded inside its housing, holding the rear brakes in a grip that no amount of pumping the pedal is going to fix. Before you call a tow truck, try this. Locate the parking brake cable running underneath the vehicle, along the frame. Spray WD-40 generously along the entire length of the cable, and directly into any exposed openings in the housing. Let it sit for several minutes. Then engage and release the parking brake while gently rocking the car. The lubricant breaks down the corrosion bond inside the housing, frees up the cable's movement, and releases that stuck tension. Once the cable loosens up, do one more full application along the whole length of the cable as a preventive layer, so moisture can't sneak back in and refreeze that same section. This matters especially if you live somewhere with a lot of rain or in colder, higher elevation areas, because moisture builds up underneath the car and speeds up cable corrosion faster than anything else on that part of the vehicle. It's a simple fix that most shops will charge a diagnostic fee just to do themselves. Replacing a parking brake cable can run anywhere from $100 to $300 depending on the vehicle. And the most frustrating part is that regular lubrication with a cheap can of product would have prevented the whole situation from the start. Cleaning the mass airflow sensor. Your engine's running rough, the throttle feels hesitant, and your gas mileage dropped with no obvious explanation. Before you pay for a full diagnostic, check the mass airflow sensor. When it gets coated in oil residue and dust, it starts sending bad data to the engine computer, and the result is lost performance, wasted fuel, and that check engine light popping up on the dash. Here's what you do. Remove the sensor from the air filter housing, usually just 2 screws and a connector clip. Spray WD-40 lightly onto the wires and sensing elements, and let it sit for about 60 seconds. Then gently wipe it down with a clean, dry cloth, and let it dry completely before reinstalling. The formula breaks down the oily film without damaging the delicate sensor elements. Make sure the sensor's completely dry before reconnecting it, because installing it wet can temporarily throw off the readings and trigger the exact same warning light you were trying to clear in the first place. A new mass airflow sensor can cost anywhere from $80 to over $300 depending on the vehicle. So spending 60 seconds with a can of WD-40 before you go out and buy a new part is always the first move worth making. A lot of drivers report their engine running smooth again and the check engine light clearing on its own after a few drive cycles. Restoring your front grille. The front grille is the face of your car, and right now it looks like a bug graveyard. Road debris, brake dust, and bugs baked on by the sun have turned what used to be a bold, sharp-looking trim piece into a dull, beat-up mess that drags down the whole front end of the vehicle. Here's how to bring it back. Spray WD-40 generously across the entire grille surface, working the product into the slats and the mesh where residue's been baking on. Let it sit for a minute, then work it in with a soft detailing brush. Wipe it down with a clean microfiber cloth and take a step back. The grime comes off clean, the finish darkens up and sharpens, and a thin protective layer stays behind, making future bugs and debris way easier to wipe off next time around. Do a quick touch-up application every couple weeks during road trip season, when bug buildup hits its peak, and your grille will never get back to that baked-on, grimy stage again. The front grille is literally the first thing anybody sees when your car pulls up. A clean grille immediately says this is a vehicle somebody takes pride in. Dealerships and detail shops use this exact trick before putting cars out on the showroom floor for sale. One pass, and the front of your car looks sharp, clean, and ready to turn heads before you've even pulled out of the driveway. If you learned something new today, hit that like button right now, and drop a comment down below letting me know which trick surprised you the most. Want to find out more car secrets that could save you hundreds on repairs? Click on the next video for more genius tips for your vehicle. Your wallet's gonna thank you.